right, we're going to go into our next one. It's going to be YouTube resellers are not true resellers.
Oh, so yeah, this was an interesting one. Ashley brought this up to me, and I when you said it, I was like, does that make sense? But as you said it, I understood what your dialogue was, and that's you are somebody on the internet, right? You have a following, right? So do other resellers online. They have a following.
Yeah.
So I have seen it in plenty of comments from people going, that's not fair. That doesn't count. The way you resell, it's not realistic.
Yeah.
You portraying it to the internet isn't real because Sally Joe that has no following, people aren't looking for her eBay. People aren't doing this. They're not trying to necessarily, they're not able to use their fame or whatever you want to call it, in any sense.
Yeah.
Or Sally Joe.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sally Joe.
Or they're just doing it for the views. Like their number one goal or their priority is YouTube, so they're only doing it just to get views, whatever gets the view.
Got it.
And that means they're not really trying to resell and grow a reselling business. Yeah, that was my thought.
So explain to me, like, give me that meat of that conversation now when you brought it up. Like, where did you want to kind of dive?
Yeah.
Are you defending it? Like, I'm not really, or are you like, no, I am a real reseller?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think they have an interplay with YouTube and reselling. Like, I know that YouTube and wanting to keep up with the content definitely keeps me accountable for my reselling business. Because, like, if I don't have cool stuff that I find and share, then my YouTube won't. They kind of like grow hand in hand. Like, if I have a really good resale business, then YouTube tends to be more successful. But I think it would be clear if I was faking it. And I don't know. I don't think my YouTube would be successful if my reselling business wasn't successful, and but also vice versa. YouTube has absolutely helped me. People buy from my store, and it gets more eyes on my stuff. It makes me want to run a thriving business and not, I don't know. So I think they are interwoven. I will say though that some of the biggest sellers I've ever met don't have any social media. Probably most of the biggest sellers I know don't have any social media. They don't have time for it because they're all in with their business. So for me though, as a part-time, I'm a mom, it's awesome because YouTube, like adding that to my business model has helped me have more income with the same amount of hours. So I think it just makes financial sense to have both working together as best they can. I don't know.
Do you think you ever could put a number on percentage of people that you think buy from you who are in fact, because you're hustle at home mom versus just, oh, hey, I found you and I like your stuff on the internet.
Right. So actually it's interesting because on eBay has an analytic that is the impression click-through rate, meaning so I get a lot of people that click on my store but don't buy anything. They just want to look. Because and that actually kind of hurts my store because my conversion rate's really low for how much I'm converting based on how many are looking. So that's almost that's one side that's kind of not so great, but at the same side, on the other side, I do get people I would say 25% of my sales come from social media in some form. Okay. Whenever I post a video and I'm sharing things, I'll always get a few sales coming through from, oh, hey, I saw you, and they'll message me and I saw you on YouTube and I love your channel or whatever. It's so nice. And I try to, write them a little thank you or put a thank you sticker on and make sure they know I'm really grateful. But yeah, I think, so I don't know. But I do think there are some people who only, well, maybe not in the reselling community, but just on YouTube in general, their only priority is to get a click. So I don't know.
Click-through rate on your eBay is very similar to YouTube. There's click-through rate on YouTube. And when people don't know what that is, it's like me putting the most amazing thumbnail ever that isn't really what someone wants per se. And everybody clicks on it, but then they just bounce out right away. And that will hurt your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So if you get, amazing views on something, it doesn't always mean that it's going to work out for you in the long run. YouTube sees wow, everybody watched that, but people weren't really interested in the content of it.
Exactly.
So I could see how that kind of would be frustrating for you. People going, hey, hustle at home mom, I want to check out her eBay. And they go and they're like, no, I got
and they just want to see how I do things or how and then but it's fine. But hey, my business, I will say before YouTube really took off, I still applied the same principles to my business and it still turned out X amount of money for however many listings I had. So maybe it hasn't helped as much. I don't know, but I think it helps.
And you were, from when you told your story earlier, you were a reseller, then became a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Right? You weren't really a YouTuber, then became a reseller. No, right?
Yeah. Okay. It definitely was the other way around.
So you kind of had I would say the basics of what it was to resell.
Yeah.
And the grind and all that.
I think so. Yeah. And I was really excited about the income and it is exciting to share with other people. I want people to know that there are options. Because I grew up very poor. I hate that feeling of wondering when am I going to get a paycheck, bills are due. That's the worst nightmare. And if anyone feels trapped, this really is a way. We can go to the swap
It is,
meet and
totally,
find
yeah.
stuff and flip it. Anyone can do it. And there's no shame in it. And if I can teach you a couple things that would help,
Yeah.
Just nothing makes me happier, really.
And it could be any market. I mean, I know Caleb is a
Yeah.
huge believer in opportunities everywhere. And it sounds so dumb, but like there are people who can find plastic that is probably rare. People collect barbed wire. People collect spurs. People can collect weird parts to a camera that sell for good money. I mean, there's all different avenues. I mean, Curtis is a big example of that even with your paper. Yes, we know like there's the paper we would all know to collect, right? Like the crazy instructions for a Nintendo World Championships thing, but like he's throwing things on eBay.
Like old sports cards from like 1910, like their old scorecards that never got recorded into like their actual history for their college. So it's like that piece of history. I just put it up, do enough research for it, and sold for $500 in a day.
It's amazing.
Little piece of paper, and this is the kind of stuff when you buy auctions and go to people just shovel in the trash. Old paper.
Yeah, they don't know.
Same thing with like scripts and all that stuff. Like you might not know, like it might have just been like a junk script, but then there's like, oh, there's a stamp that says 20th Century Fox that I looked at Chris's today, and I was like, just throw it up, man. I mean, there's probably nothing on it. You know what I mean? If you do enough research on a certain item, it'll show in your description, and people will be like, the backstory is what sells it.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
You were going to say something.
Well, yeah, just my opinion on that. So the topic, like YouTubers aren't real resellers.
Even collectors sometimes is added to that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How so?
People will just be like, oh, well, you're only doing it because you're showing off to strangers on the internet. Right? That's a huge thing with
Right.
pickup
Yeah.
videos. Like, why are you really collecting?
Oh, right. So you're just collecting because you're a YouTuber.
Right, we'll say
you're
this,
not
like,
an actual real
we meet
collector.
people, right? Let's just say, and they have giant collections. They're not showing the world. Nobody in the internet knows. Nobody in the world knows. It's just, hey, yeah, my name's Joe. Check out my collection. Whoa, this guy's a real collector. A lot of times there's that conversation of like, are collectors on YouTube just doing it because it's like almost like, you can flex weekly. I got this. Look, I got this new game. I got this, and it's a weird thing. I've seen even a guy that I watch, Iowa Retro Dad, like he did a video saying that, like he's like, his title of the video is like, I'm like upset. I was just buying to impress strangers on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he wasn't or was a real collector,
Yeah.
but it is a conversation.
And there are a lot of legitimate channels that are transparent like yours that show your side of the business, like chase after the right price, and then you have
and then fake channels like us.
yeah. But it's like, you got Homeschool Picker, and then you also got Commonwealth. They all show their sides of the business that's like actually legitimate sales.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even Harry Tornado is on it too. So it's like all these people, like they show the background. And
Do you know his real name?
huh? Josh.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought you thought his name was Harry. I'm like, sweet.
No, I'm big fans of them.
You've been really deep.
Love Johnson.
I feel like this podcast, you've been so deep in thought. I've been
Yeah.
looking at you and you're like,
He looks up.
No,
Yeah.
this topic I was thinking about, and I the whole time you were talking too. So I do believe that YouTubers are resellers. You guys are reselling. Like you're YouTubers and then you started reselling.
Totally.
But my opinion of it is, so I was a reseller. I've been doing it for 12 years, like back to when I opened my first store. Back when I did that, there was almost like zero YouTubers that I can remember back. This would be 2000, like 8, 9, 10, 11 that were really
YouTube was
highlighting.
06.
Yeah, so I don't remember any back then. I'm sure there were some.
No, but I'm saying you're correct. The game hunting scene didn't really start happening till much later.
Well, and you guys were some of the first game hunters, but the idea of I'm going to game hunt and showcase my reselling did not exist.
No, it's shamed.
Yeah.
That's for shame. Yeah.
Right, you were shamed.
Yeah.
So there was resellers. So like when I opened my store, of course, I'm a reseller. So my opinion on with YouTubers that then become resellers is like, I remember the early stages of reselling back then, and when it was like a grind. You had to learn the basics of like social media with like Facebook and like every comment. It was a real grind. Like
The brick
Facebook
and mortar.
advertising,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
brick and mortar, like I only made $75 today kind of grind. I do feel like sometimes from the latest, what I've seen with some YouTubers, close friends of ours, and maybe even you guys, and this isn't a knock on you
I don't
guys.
care.
You're like,
You can't offend me.
you know, like for instance, like when you guys run your whatnots, like you guys get some crazy,
Yeah.
you have crazy eyes on what you're selling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even some guys that we know that own video game stores that just like
Retro Rick?
explode with
Game-
numbers.
They're our friends, bro. We can. They'd be the first ones to be open with
And
you.
even,
Yeah, of course.
Even
And
Game Tower too. So I mean, like it's those. So
Well, I would say, Ellie, Elliot was like a reseller first before he gained a big following maybe on social media. But I do feel like because you're the YouTuber, and this isn't a knock, you have a big marketing arm, marketing is part of business. When you get into it, you're all of a sudden like, boom, like it just explodes.
Yeah.
It might, to me, it seems like, dang, it's like, that doesn't seem real life. Like that's not what it's
Well,
like.
but also what most
yeah.
people don't
I
see.
get that. Yeah,
but what most people don't see who could say that behind the curtain is they don't see the 12 years of me doing
Correct.
what's not real life and grinding for 12 years
Correct.
to get there.
That's why I don't.
So when people complain to me on whatnot, I go,
I mean-
hit me up in 12 years and let me know how it's going.
Yeah.
Well, because of course in any
True.
business,
Yeah.
like marketing is so key.
100%.
So when you pair the two together, and again, it's not a knock. It's like, dang, I wish I had the huge YouTube following. I wish I'm almost like, man, and I should have done that back in 2010.
Exactly.
But it was so shunned back then. Like you would have I would have gotten like crucified.
Was it
almost,
ever
like, if I had
shunned?
done that.
Was it ever shunned in your world? Because for games, it was very shunned. Was there like a connection? People were so close with clothing that they didn't want you to sell it, or was that never a thing?
I don't think so. I think with clothing, especially because there's such a problem with fast fashion and landfills, and 90% of what a thrift store has clothing wise will never sell. So it's kind of looked more, I think, as a recycling. I mean, of course, some resellers, people don't like resellers, and when they don't, I think, educate themselves on like what we do, and that every business resells. But yeah, I think it's shunned as far as like it's not the most glamorous job. Like I'm going to like the bins and stuff and digging, or I'm going through a thrift store and digging, and I'm finding deals. And
I will say, I've done the bins.
yeah,
You've done the bins.
Yeah.
And again, with what Chris says, not knocking, I hate it. I hate the bins.
Yeah.
You and Josh and all y'all that do it, like
I know.
more power to you. I went and
brutal.
I felt like I walked out with like, I felt like just like, what happened? And I got nothing.
yeah.
Felt dirty. We feel kind of dirty.
And I dig at the swap meet. So you props too. I mean, more power. They don't know how much
a lot of
gruel
work.
and gross
and
it
you
is.
do the bins all
I
the
do
time?
the
She's a
bins.
big
I've only
bin
done it
girl.
one time myself, and I was like,
Okay.
never again. I'm not ever doing that.
Dude, we're all like the guys and we're like, that's dirty.
Meanwhile, my hands were like filthy all day
They do-
today. From
yeah,
one
you
thing.
Wait,
Gonna
guys,
have to
Ricky was going to
walk
talk.
it out.
We got to let this happen. What were you going to say, Ricky?
All right, so it's like a difference because I remember swap meet. I feel like it's dirt, but when we went to the bins, we were pulling stuff out, and I swear it was like sweat or something. And I'm just like, this is not worth it. I was like, I back. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this?
I feel like half the times we put our hand in, a sound effect happened too. Like, so I was like,
Oh yeah, there's like underwear in there. There's socks.
No, I
there's-
never thought about used undies.
Remember that one video
Sorry.
I pulled out dirty, like brown stained underwear?
I remember
It was so
that.
gross.
You resold them?
How did mine get there?
Although there's a market, I don't.
I
there's a
know.
market for that
There's a
stuff.
market.
Oh my god!
For used
Is there
undies.
No,
really? Oh
but I
my
also
God.
I don't know. I just don't care. I think you have to know what to look for. I have like a Rolodex in my head of thousands of brands I'm looking for or not looking for, and I think that I get in that zone and I just am looking for certain things. And it's so exciting when you find like a Filson vest, it sells for $150 and it's at the bins. So that keeps me going. My kids went to the bins here with me, and one loved it, one was not so thrilled with it. But yeah, it was, it's a grind, but I don't think there's any shame in finding really cool. I think it definitely opened my eyes to the waste that exists. Like the fact that there's amazing stuff in the bins that just is discarded and is going to then end up in a landfill. I'm like, this is so cool. Like, I'm so glad I could at least save it and someone wants it,
I've definitely called resellers the repurposers of the world for sure. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're just gonna save something, and then if it finds a new home, that's great. And what kind of like made you make the transition from video games to clothing? I know that's a big jump in different directions.
I'm about to go save something to my bladder. I'll be right back. You guys keep going. Keep going.
This is the first.
Yeah, I think because I don't know. Yeah, it just was a natural transition. I found tons of clothes. Maybe that's it. Video games are really competitive.
Yes.
And because I was selling them on Amazon, they don't get as much value on eBay. Amazon is the way to go, I think, for used video games. So I didn't really feel comfortable sharing because I didn't want my Amazon store to be exposed. And I find so many. It would be. I don't know how Caleb does it and how you guys do it with how many video games you find. You're in a great area, or I don't know. Maybe I'm just not looking.
It's a great area.
It's a great area. It's really competitive. And yeah, I guess I encounter so much more clothing that my percentage of success is higher for like going through and finding stuff. I'll always find stuff with clothes, but with video games, I guess I wasn't that confident that I would like go to one location. Maybe that was it too. I don't really have the luxury of going, I guess it's not a luxury, but like going to a million places with my kids. And so if I can't go to one place and know that I'm going to find stuff, then like my video won't do well and my store won't succeed. So yeah, that's kind of, was my thinking behind it, but I don't know.
And are you strictly doing like newer women's clothes at this point? Is it vintage?
I'll do anything. I still do I still pick up anything that I know has value, but I'm most familiar with certain like popular brands of clothing and shoes, I would say. Like things that I just know consistently sell for me on eBay.
And you get great stuff over there. I'm like, dude, you have a lot of good stuff.
Utah has good stuff if you but I'm also looking for hours and hours and hours. And then Riff he's very talented in making it look very seamless and fun, but it's usually many hours of looking and digging through used underwear.
I would say like
until I find
what
cool
are some
stuff.
like tips you would have for somebody like to have like the motivation to like list and ship? Because that for me is the hardest thing, is listing. Because getting to it is the hardest thing. I mean, do you have any tips for somebody out there?
For sure. I would say hiring a virtual assistant has been a dream. So I would say for sure do that. Like I just take the pictures and then I send them off in Google Photos to my VA. I've done that for like a year and a half now. And it's awesome because they create all the drafts on eBay and then I just have to, tweak them and put the price in and then schedule them out. So
I don't know if you want to answer this.
Yeah.
Is there like a price range on what that costs? That does sound enticing.
Yeah.
Is it something you can say?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
You can go on there's Upwork.com, there's Fiverr.com, and you can find a lot of people. I've gone through maybe 10 VAs before I found like my guy.
Got it.
And he's awesome and he does
What's
it fast.
What's the typical pay range?
Yeah, like $6 an hour, $5 an hour.
Oh,
yeah.
that's cheap.
That's what I pay Curtis.
Yeah.
you pay me in hugs.
Warm embraces.
Yeah.
Chris, you were gonna ask a question. Do you remember it?
What's your favorite horror movie?
Do you like with clothes? So do you sell on Amazon at all anymore? Or are you completely off?
I just haven't in a while. Because Amazon, you have to keep up that grind, and I let it go to the wayside a little bit. Yeah, I still have an active store. I'm still engaged in things, but I haven't paid much attention to it.
Yeah, especially with clothes. Like, would you sell? Like, obviously, if they're new clothes, you could sell them on Amazon. But can you sell used clothes on Amazon?
No,
you can't, right?
And I did sell new clothes on Amazon for a while, but Amazon has such a good return policy. It makes it bad.
It definitely hurts small businesses.
Yeah.
You can return anything.
They return. I got so many returns. It was really discouraging. Returns multiple times, multiple, and I was like, I don't.
And it can be for clothes too, because it's like it doesn't fit. And then
exactly.
I was going to say
it's
that's
annoying.
brutal.
I used to sell on Amazon initially. That was how I started everything. Even before my stores, I was an
cool.
Amazon seller. So way back to probably 2008, which was like infancy of Amazon. Back then, video games were crazy on there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there was very few sellers. Obviously, got very competitive and very restrictive. I'm no longer selling on Amazon, and I can say I am so happy to not be selling on there anymore.
Yeah.
It was such a pain. I felt like being a seller. Like
hard,
like Caleb, if you're in there, I guess you kind of like get used to it and like that's what you do. But I only sell on eBay now, and I absolutely love selling on eBay. It's a little bit more time getting the listings up.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there's actually I feel like more of a community within eBay too. Like the messages I get.
Oh, totally.
And like they're actually nice, friendly messages where you have good conversations with people.
Yeah.
Amazon, I would be like, who is this person? Nasty, horrendous person on the other end that is swearing at me about something that I shipped to them, and I just never liked it at all.
I can't imagine how hard it would be. Being a clothing seller, because I feel like the odds of them returning a video game are still much lower, right? You order Mario Odyssey or get Mario Odyssey, right?
Yeah.
But you with clothes, I know how it is to buy something and you want your perfect skinniness, you want your perfect length, you want your perfect waist size, and everything fits different. A size 32 is different in every brand, basically.
I include measurements, so I take pictures of the measurements of the clothing so that people know. I don't know if they're checking it.
Some people do,
which you can do with eBay, but of course with Amazon you can't.
Oh, you can't do it with Amazon.
Right, it wouldn't work on it. No, you can't do it.
And they would, I agree with Amazon. It was really, you don't have anyone you can really call or talk to. I don't think they care about sellers. at all.
Oh my gosh.
I think
No, I
eBay
think
cares about their sellers. I don't think Amazon
do
does.
not care about sellers at all. They don't have
They
a
don't.
phone number you can call.
No,
They
you
have
can't
an
talk to
Big Daddy
anybody.
Bezos.
You can get banned and just good luck,
Yeah.
you know? And
It-
and not, who are you going to talk to? You can't talk
Don't-
to anybody. It's hard.
Don't they also give like priority like to certain like vendors that have been there for so long?
Yeah.
Like, so if you start
Volume
a store,
sellers. Yeah.
you could be at the bottom.
I'm not gonna lie. Actually, like from my experience with selling on Amazon, I despise Amazon. I despise them. Now
Yeah.
I still use them to buy stuff because I'm like, if I need batteries,
yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
gonna
meant
go
to tell
there.
you, I just got an email about them being a sponsor. Thanks a lot.
But
There goes
my
that.
experience of selling there was just so
Yeah.
bad. I did it for years and it was very profitable. It's
Yeah.
not that it wasn't.
Yeah.
But compared to eBay, I would just take that any day. And then retail, of course, is another thing which I just love because it's human interaction.
Yeah, yeah.
But the Amazon selling I felt was so distant and so like cold.
Yeah.
And I just did not like it at all.
Totally.
Yeah.
I
I've
fully
seen you
agree.
so like
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I don't
against
know
something
if we
so
talked
long.
about the. I do not
Except
like
when we did like the
Amazon.
Christmas movie rankings.
I was thinking the same thing.
The last time I saw you so angry.
As a fellow seller, I can agree with what you're saying. I totally get it. It's really
Yeah, no.
hard.
If you make your living on selling on Amazon, not to say,
Great. Yeah,
do
Caleb.
it. And
Gosh, Caleb's
Caleb,
killing
and,
it.
you know, I give him, of course, do
Yeah.
it. But my experience, I would never go back to doing that again. I just did not like it. No.
Yeah.